Hello, my dear students in grade 7. I hope you are all safe and fine. I miss you so much. This is our mathematics lecture, the first mathematics lecture in grade 7, and the title of our lesson is Powers. What are the objectives of our lesson? Number 1, introduce or define powers. Number 2, learn the power notation or form. It's a base and exponent. 3, write a multiplication sentence in power form and vice versa, which means we will write a power form as a multiplication sentence. Number 4, we will calculate different powers. As a reminder, do you know from where did the idea of multiplication in mathematics came? Multiplication came from when we started studying multiplication in grades 2 and 3. The idea of multiplication came from repeated addition. What do we mean by repeated addition? We used to add 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 to write our answer, which is 10. After this, we can see that in this addition sentence, we are adding the same number many times. So we ask, what is the number added? It's 2. How many times we are adding 2? We are adding it 5 times. So we can write this addition sentence as a multiplication sentence, which is 2 times 5. 6 plus 6 plus 6. The number repeated is 6. It's repeated 3 times, so we write it 6 times 3. 10 plus 10 plus 10 plus 10. The number repeated is 10. It's repeated 4 times, so we write it 10 times 4. So a repeated addition sentence is written as a multiplication sentence. How do we write it? The number repeated times how many times it's repeated. Now, what about a repeated multiplication sentence? For example, after we studied multiplication, we used to multiply 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. We used to say 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So the answer is 16. 7 times 7, it's also a repeated multiplication sentence. We are multiplying the same number many times. 9 times 9 times 9, also we are multiplying 9 many times. Also, we are multiplying here 10 many times. So what do we do in this case? These are called repeated multiplication sentences, which mean a number is multiplied by itself many times. Here we ask, can this be written in another way? Yes, of course, these multiplication sentences can be written in another way. They can be written in power form. How? How do we do this? Let's see the first multiplication sentence. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. We ask, what is the number repeated? It's 2. How many times it is repeated? It's repeated 4 times. So it is written in power form, 2 to the power 4. As you can see, 2 is written down, the number repeated is written down, and the number of repetition, which is 4, we write it above the 2. 7 times 7, the number repeated is 7. How many times it's repeated? 2 times, so it's written in power form, 7 squared, or 7 to the power 2. 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. What's the number repeated? It's 5. How many times is it repeated? 4 times. To write it in power form, it's 5 to the power 4. I will continue. 9 times 9 times 9. The number repeated is 9. The number of repetition is 3. So in power form, 9 to the power 3. The last one, 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. The number repeated is 10. And the number of repetitions is 6 times. So to write it in power form, we write 10 to the power 6. So as you can see, the number repeated is written down. The number of repetition is written above it to the right. Now, we will define powers. Given a repeated multiplication sentence, so powers is only used to express a repeated multiplication sentence. So they can be expressed or written in power form. The number repeated is 2 and the number of repetitions is 5. So to write it in power form, we write 2 to the power 5. Power form or notation. So any repeated multiplication sentence, whatever the number is, I express it as A. So A times A times A times A is equal A to the power N. Now, A to the power N, what do we call A? A is called the base. Always the number down, we call it the base, and the number above it, which is N, we call it the exponent. How do we express this? We say A, which is the base, is multiplied by itself n times as the exponent. Now you have 10 to the power 9. The base is 10, the exponent is 9. 10 to the power 9 is called a power. How do we read it? We read first the base 10 to the power 9. 2 to the power 3, 2 is the base, 3 is the exponent. It's read 2 to the power 3 or 2 cubed. Whenever the exponent is 3, we always use to read it as cubed. Whenever the exponent is 2, it's read squared. So 7 to the power 2, we read it 7 squared. 4 to the power 2, it's 4 squared. 10 to the power 3, it's read 10 cubed. 6 to the power 3, it's read 6 cubed. Now, how we write a multiplication sentence in power form? Any repeated multiplication sentence can be written in power form. So A times A times A times A is written A to the power N. For example, 4 times 4 times 4, the number repeated is 4. How many times? It's 3 times, so we write 4 cubed or 4 to the power 3. 4 is multiplied by itself 3 times. 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, it's 10 to the power 5. 10 is multiplied by itself 5 times and it's read 10 to the power 5. Now let's practice these together. We should write in power form. So the repeated multiplication sentence 7 times 7, we write it 7 to the power 2. I read it 7 squared. 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 times 9, I express it as 9 to the power 5. The last one, we write it 10 to the power 7 since we are multiplying 10 by itself 7 times. Now, how we write a power form as a multiplication sentence? So if we have A to the power N, it's written A times A times A times A. 9 to the power 5, we multiply 9 by itself 5 times. 6 squared, we multiply 6 by itself 2 times. 2 cubed, we multiply 2 by itself 3 times. Now let's write the following as repeated multiplication sentences. 5 to the power 3 or 5 cubed, I should multiply 5 by itself 3 times. 2 to the power 6, I multiply 2 by itself 6 times. 10 squared, I multiply 10 by itself 2 times. Now, how do you calculate different powers? To calculate powers, we should always write them as a repeated multiplication sentence. For example, 7 squared, I write it 7 times 7, which is 49. 10 to the power 6, I multiply 10 by itself 6 times, and the answer is 1 million. 2 cubed, I multiply 2 by itself 3 times, and the answer is 8. This was our lecture for this week. I hope after watching this video, if you have any question, to contact me directly by WhatsApp if you have any question to ask. And please keep safe. And I love you all so much. Thank you for your time.